March 22, 2024, the day the throne got drenched in blood. Kendrick Lamar unleashed 6 demonic words that didn't just ignite a war, they vaporized a competitor before he could even breathe. And J. Cole, he became the first public execution of a massacre he was never equipped to survive. The internet isn't just spinning, it's having a complete meltdown, because what everyone thought was a diss track was actually a 5-year psychological torture chamber, a premeditated character assassination, a digital murder caught on camera. And Cole, he apologized for his own existence while the world watched in horror. For years, they sold us a fairy tale, a beautiful lie wrapped in respect and brotherhood. The narrative was cemented in hip-hop culture. Kendrick, Drake, and Cole, the Big Three, the Holy Trinity, 3 kings ruling different kingdoms but acknowledging each other's crowns. Cole preached this gospel. In interviews, on tracks, at festivals, he worshipped at the altar of this trinity like it was scripture. But here's the sickening truth that's now bleeding into public consciousness. Kendrick never believed it. Not for 1 second. Fresh intel, leaked studio conversations, anonymous insider testimonies flooding Reddit and Twitter. The entire narrative is collapsing like a controlled demolition, because what we're discovering is absolutely chilling. Kendrick viewed Cole the same way a lion views a hyena, not as an equal, not even as worthy competition, as a pretender who needed to be publicly humiliated and removed from the ecosystem. That "like that" verse, that wasn't anger, that wasn't impulse, that was a surgical strike planned with military precision, and Cole walked into the ambush like a lamb to the slaughter, then destroyed his own legacy trying to escape the trap. Buckle up, because the timeline reads like a horror movie. March 22nd, Future and Metro Boomin detonate "We Don't Trust You" across all platforms. Track 4, "Like That." The beat is menacing, dark, suffocating, and then Kendrick's voice cuts through the production like a serrated knife through flesh. Fuck the Big Three, it's just Big Me. 6 lethal words. No preamble, no explanation, no mercy. Just a declaration delivered with the cold certainty of an executioner reading a death sentence. Within seconds, not minutes, seconds, the internet detonates. Twitter servers practically collapse under the weight of simultaneous panic. Instagram comment sections transform into digital war zones. TikTok explodes with reaction videos of people screaming at their phones. YouTubers scramble to be first with hot takes. The entire hip-hop infrastructure goes into emergency mode. Everyone's asking the same question in all caps. Did Kendrick just murder the Big Three concept? Yes, he did. But that's not even the devastating part. This wasn't a diss, this was an exorcism. Kendrick didn't insult Cole, he erased him from reality, deleted him from the conversation like editing someone out of a family photo, denied his entire existence in the pantheon. And the most sadistic part, he delivered it with the casual energy of someone swatting a mosquito. No emotion, no effort, just elimination. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. TMZ just leaked explosive footage showing Cole racing to the studio within hours, not days, hours after "Like That" dropping. Sources inside Dreamville describe him as frantic, emotionally spiraling, and demanding immediate retaliation. One anonymous engineer claims Cole was shaking while recording. Another says he kept asking, "Is this good enough? Does this hit hard enough?" That's not a warrior preparing for battle. That's a panicked man realizing he's been outmaneuvered before the game even started. April 5th, Might Delete Later materializes on streaming platforms. The response track? 7-minute drill. The second that song went live, hip-hop transformed into a crime scene investigation unit. Fans became forensic analysts, dissecting every syllable, every inflection, every breath like they're presenting evidence in a murder trial. Frame-by-frame breakdowns, lyric annotations updated in real time, comparison videos with Kendrick's entire catalog. and what they discovered was catastrophic. Listen to this devastating reality. In what's supposed to be a battle track, Cole calls Kendrick top 3. Read that again. Kendrick says it's just Big Me, the ultimate flex, the crown seizure, and Cole responds with, "You're top 3 though." That's not a counterattack, that's a public concession of defeat dressed up as a freestyle. That's showing up to a death match and immediately saying, "You're really talented, I respect you so much." That's surrender in verse form. But wait, it gets exponentially worse. Cole's disses are embarrassing. He mocks Kendrick's height, makes fun of album length, throws elementary school playground insults. Meanwhile, Kendrick, historically, this is the demon who exposed secret children, dismantled Drake's entire existence, turned ghostwriting accusations into career-ending documentaries, and deconstructed legacies in 16 bars. Cole's swinging like it's recess. Kendrick fights like he's prosecuting a federal case. Online investigators took this to obsessive levels, dedicated Reddit threads with thousands of comments dissecting Cole's vocal tonality, audio engineers analyzing the frequency of his voice for signs of fear, body language experts examining studio footage, and the consensus is terrifying. You can hear the terror in Cole's delivery. One viral thread breaks it down second by second. Allegedly, there's a moment in leaked studio footage where Cole stops mid-verse and says, "This feels wrong." Engineers reportedly urged him to continue. He reluctantly did, and that's the version that went public. He released a reluctant diss track. Let that marinate. April 7th, Dreamville Festival, Cole's own stage, his own crowd, thousands of loyal fans who paid to see their hero. And what does J. Cole do in front of his own kingdom? He publicly executes his own career, on camera, on stage, for eternity. "I'm going to pull that shit off streaming platforms. That was the lamest, corniest shit I did in my freaking career." The crowd doesn't erupt in support, they freeze in shock. You can watch the respect evaporate in real time like water on hot concrete. The energy dies, clips go nuclear within minutes, and the comments? Absolutely merciless. He folded faster than a lawn chair in a hurricane. Kendrick didn't even respond, and Cole's already waving a white flag soaked in tears. This is the most pathetic moment in battle rap history. Think about the magnitude of this. In under 72 hours, J. Cole went from Big 3 to Big Mistake. Not because Kendrick out-rapped him in a back and forth, because Kendrick made him self-destruct on a global stage while millions watched in disbelief.
Now we're diving into the sinister motive, because this is where your perception of reality shatters. Kendrick Lamar has been operating in complete silence for years. While Drake and Cole were doing press runs, dropping features every week, staying visible and accessible, Kendrick vanished, went completely dark, and everyone assumed he was taking his time or being artistic or focusing on quality. Wrong. He was hunting. Multiple sources within TDE and PG Lang have leaked disturbing information. Kendrick allegedly maintained psychological profiles on every major rapper in the industry. Detailed dossiers, behavioral patterns, insecurities, emotional triggers, childhood traumas, career anxieties, everything. And the alleged psychological profile on J. Cole? Chronic imposter syndrome despite massive success, pathological need for respect from real hip-hop heads, obsessive desire to be seen as both humble and elite simultaneously, fear of being compared to Drake's commercial success, deep-seated anxiety about legacy and longevity. Now, combine all of that intelligence and reread the Big 3, it's just Big Me. That line wasn't random. It was surgical psychological warfare. It detonated every single insecurity simultaneously, publicly destroys his Big 3 validation, groups him with Drake, who Cole desperately tries to differentiate from, states it as undeniable fact, not opinion, doesn't even acknowledge him enough to say his name. If this theory holds water, Like That wasn't a diss track, It was a psychological trap. Kendrick knew Cole would fail spectacularly and publicly. And the dark part, it gets darker. Let's discuss career trajectories, because the financial and cultural gap is humiliating. Back in 2014, Cole and Kendrick were running neck and neck. Forest Hills Drive versus To Pimp a Butterfly. Different artistic visions, but both considered legendary. Cole was pulling an estimated $20 to $25 million annually at his peak. Sold-out arena tours, critical acclaim, universal respect. But now, Kendrick ascended to a different dimension. Pulitzer Prize winner, Super Bowl 57 halftime performer, global cultural icon. He's not a rapper anymore. He's a mythological figure. His net worth allegedly doubled in the last 3 years alone. Meanwhile, Cole is still respected, but stagnant. Same lane, same sound, same humble guy with bars persona. That's starting to feel like a limitation rather than a brand. That kind of disparity hits different when you're constantly reminded you were supposedly equals. Now, here's the nightmare fuel. Industry whispers, and these are loud whispers, from people who've worked in both camps, claim Kendrick's team maintains a vault of pre-recorded diss tracks, complete songs, fully mixed, fully mastered, ready for instant deployment. And they're not generic, they're personalized annihilation for specific targets. And J. Cole's name? It's not just in that vault. There are allegedly multiple tracks prepared for him. Multiple anonymous engineers keep circulating the same bone-chilling rumor. There exists a fully produced J. Cole Karen-ending track sitting in a hard drive somewhere in the PG Lang archives. Some say it's called False Prophet. Others claim it's titled The Pretender. Nobody can confirm, but here's the most sadistic element. Kendrick never had to release it. Cole's self-destruction was so complete, so public, so devastating that the nuclear option became unnecessary. The mere existence of this rumored track now hangs over Cole's head like the sword of Damocles. If he ever tries to respond again, everyone expects Kendrick to press one button and obliterate whatever career remains. That's not competition. That's total domination. That's owning someone's entire future. And the internal fallout? Explosive. Unconfirmed but persistent rumors from sources close to Dreamville claim certain artists on the label were furious at Cole's public surrender. One particularly nasty rumor alleges an internal meeting where someone told Cole directly, "You didn't just quit for yourself, you made all of us look weak." Whether completely true or partially exaggerated, the aftermath speaks volumes. Dreamville's momentum collapses overnight. No aggressive label moves, festival energy shifts from hip-hop powerhouse to awkward damage control gathering. Artists start distancing themselves in subtle ways. Meanwhile, PG Lang, they're operating like a royal court after conquering enemy territory. But here's the part that truly hits different. This transcends rap beef. This is about legacy, identity, everything Cole built his entire career foundation upon. J. Cole's entire brand is authenticity, the real one. The guy who writes every bar, produces his own beats, stays humble, avoids manufactured drama. That's the image. That's the persona that built his empire. That's what millions of fans worshipped. And in 72 brutal hours, Kendrick shattered it like glass. Because there's one cardinal sin in hip-hop you absolutely cannot commit. You cannot show fear. You can lose a battle and rebuild. Numerous rappers have. Meek Mill came back, Pusha T evolved beyond his beefs, but you cannot quit mid-fight. You cannot apologize while the war is still happening. You cannot tell the entire world, "I'm not built for this," and expect to maintain respect. And that's exactly what Cole did, on camera, forever. The leaked footage from Dreamville Festival shows something genuinely heartbreaking. You can see the internal conflict destroying him in real time, the regret flooding his eyes, the realization crystallizing that he just made a mistake with no undo button. Fans in the crowd look confused and betrayed. Some nod like, "I respect the honesty," but most look devastated. That's somebody's hero up there, and they're watching their idol crumble into dust before their eyes. Social media reactions were savage. I defended Cole for years, argued with Drake fans, debated Kendrick stans, told everyone he was top tier, and he just gave up. I can't defend someone who won't defend themselves. Kendrick broke him without even trying, without a single response. That's scary. The worst part? Cole probably thought he was being mature, but this ain't maturity. This is surrender wearing a disguise. And the most tragic element? Cole likely believed he was making the right decision, being the bigger person, choosing peace over violence, demonstrating growth and wisdom. But in hip-hop, that's not maturity. That's public suicide. This man barely wanted to enter the arena, preferred to live his life creating music peacefully, and he got trapped in a nightmare scenario because Kendrick forced his hand, manipulated the situation, and left him with no good options. That's psychological torture. But let's keep it brutally real. Cole put himself in that vulnerable position. He could have stayed silent, could have waited months and crafted a genuine response, could have played the long game. Instead, he lunged emotionally, desperately, frantically, and paid the ultimate price.
This situation reaches unprecedented levels of complexity when you examine the layers of Kendrick's strategy. Let's rewind to 2013, the legendary Control verse. Kendrick calls out an entire list of rappers, including Cole. But notice the methodology. It was respectful, competitive, fire. It wasn't disrespectful, it was a challenge to elevate the entire culture. And Cole responded appropriately. TKO remix, bars, energy, mutual respect maintained. That was healthy competition. That was hip-hop culture functioning properly. But fast forward to 2024, and Kendrick doesn't even mention Cole by name in Like That. He just erases the entire Big Three concept from existence. That's infinitely colder than a direct diss. Because a diss acknowledges you exist, you matter, you're worth addressing. This says, you were never in the conversation. You imagined your own importance. Fans transformed into investigative journalists, pulling up archived interviews, old lyrics, old energy to determine if there were warning signs this was coming. And they found disturbing patterns. In a 2018 interview, Kendrick was directly asked about the Big Three concept. His response? A slight, eerie smile. Then just, I respect what everybody's doing. That's it. No cosign, no agreement, no validation. Just politeness masking complete dismissal. Meanwhile, Cole in multiple interviews, podcasts, and tracks talked about the Big Three like it was gospel truth, like it was established fact, like Kendrick had agreed to this framework. He never did. Cole was living in a fantasy Kendrick never validated. He built his identity on a lie, and when Kendrick finally spoke, he shattered that delusion in 6 words and left Cole to deal with the psychological wreckage. Let's discuss the silent strategy, because this is Kendrick's most sadistic weapon. Insiders claim Kendrick's team has perfected a brutal psychological playbook. Step 1, drop one line that destroys an established narrative. Step 2, vanish completely. Zero engagement. No tweets, no interviews, nothing. Step 3, force opponents to spiral publicly while observing from a distance. Step 4, allow self-destruction to complete the work. Psychological warfare experts allegedly consulted by major labels confirm silence is maximum psychological damage. No response means no measuring stick. No measuring stick means pure insecurity. Pure insecurity means self-sabotage. J. Cole didn't apologize to Kendrick. He apologized to the void Kendrick created. And that void is eternal. Because now, every time Cole drops a bar, every time he flexes, every time he claims elite status, people remember. They'll remember the apology. They'll remember the fear. They'll remember the moment he chose safety over immortality. And here's a disturbing connection. Look at Kendrick's Drake demolition. Years of subliminals, calculated jabs, building unbearable tension. And when you finally unleashed, euphoria. 616 in LA. Meet the Grams, Not Like Us. Complete and total obliteration. Drake attempted responses. Push-ups, tailor-made freestyle, The Heart Part 6. But by then, too late. Kendrick had already seized narrative control, already shifted public perception permanently, already won the war before Drake realized it started. Cole witnessed this. He saw what Kendrick was capable of. He knew the level of destruction possible. And that's probably why he folded so fast. Because if Kendrick went full scorched earth on Cole the way he did on Drake, there might not be a J. Cole career afterward. Now for the darkest rumor. This is pure speculation until confirmed, but the whispers are loud and consistent. Alleged emergency calls between executives after 7-minute drill leaked were reportedly panicked. One source claims an executive warned Dreamville directly. If Kendrick actually responds, he's not stopping at punchlines. He's pulling files, evidence, receipts. What files? What evidence? Nobody knows with certainty. But in the absolute darkest corners of hip-hop forums, one rumor keeps resurfacing with disturbing consistency. Allegedly, with zero public proof, that Kendrick might possess evidence of ghostwriting in Cole's catalog. In a genre where I write my own bars is sacred scripture, even the hint of that is career poison, absolute death. No credible receipts exist publicly. But if Cole believes Kendrick has something like that, it explains the sheer speed of the surrender, the panic, the immediate retreat. You don't risk a diss war if your opponent might have a nuclear bomb aimed at your entire authenticity brand.
This story extends far beyond two rappers trading bars. This is about how power operates in modern hip-hop. What we're witnessing is a seismic shift in how dominance is established. It's not just about lyrical ability anymore. It's about control, narrative control, psychological control, cultural control. Kendrick doesn't just want to be the best rapper alive. He wants to be unchallengeable, untouchable, a living myth. And the Cole situation? That was a public demonstration, a message sent to every other rapper with ambitions. Don't even think about it. The broader conversation centers on legacy and what it means to be great in this era, because J. Cole is still a phenomenal rapper. His technical ability is elite, his albums are solid, his fan base is loyal. But greatness isn't just about skill anymore. It's about presence, dominance, the ability to withstand maximum pressure. And Cole? He's shattered under moderate heat. When you build yourself as the humble king, the thoughtful artist, the guy who avoids beef, you're not just protecting your image, you're unintentionally creating a critical weakness. Because the moment someone forces you into confrontation, you have no experience, no armor, no battle-tested instinct. J. Cole's situation is a brutal, cautionary tale, but it's also a warning for anyone with a carefully curated persona. The more you avoid conflict, the more vulnerable you become when it's unavoidable. And Kendrick knew this. He studied this. He weaponized Cole's own carefully constructed image against him, like turning someone's shield into a blade that cuts their own throat. Let's talk numbers, because they're devastating. After April 2024, the data moves like a funeral procession. Cole's favorability ratings crater across all platforms. Streaming numbers dip, while Kendrick's explode. Big Three discourse evaporates from hip-hop conversations. New narrative solidifies. Kendrick and others. But worse than numbers is the meme immortality. J. Cole is now permanently attached to his most cowardly moment. Every new bar he drops gets replayed next to the apology clip. Every flex gets overshadowed by that time he publicly called his own diss corny. Every attempt to rebrand as fearless gets drowned by 3 words. He backed down. You can out-rap a weak verse. You can outgrow a bad album. You cannot outlive a viral moment where you tell the world with your own mouth, I wasn't built for this. And that's what made Kendrick's strategy monstrous. He didn't need to win a back and forth. He ensured there wouldn't be one. Cole is locked in now, forever defined by retreat, permanently branded. And Kendrick? Untouchable. So where does this leave hip-hop? Kendrick Lamar is operating on a level the culture has never witnessed. He's not just a rapper, he's a psychological architect, a cultural assassin, a living legend who can end careers without releasing full diss tracks. And Cole? He's the cautionary tale, the warning, the example used in every future hip-hop conversation about what happens when you're not truly ready for war. The man who believed he belonged in the conversation until someone reminded him with 6 words that he never did.
But here's what's terrifying. This story is still unfolding. More details dropping weekly, more clues surfacing, more anonymous sources leaking information. And reports suggest Kendrick's next album might contain even more calculated shots at people who thought they were safe. The fear is palpable across the industry now. Every rapper with aspirations is watching, learning, understanding that the game changed forever. Kendrick didn't just win a battle, he changed the rules of engagement. Drop your unfiltered thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Cole can ever recover from this humiliation? Do you think Kendrick planned this execution from the beginning, or was it pure instinct? Smash that like button if this breakdown shocked you. Hit subscribe and demolish that notification bell because we're covering every twist, every leak, every development as this story continues to explode. I appreciate you rocking with me through this insane deep dive, and I'll see you in the next one where we might have even more devastating information. Stay safe out there, and remember, in hip-hop, silence can be more deadly than any diss track ever recorded.